I'm Chris Johns, Editor-in-Chief of National Geographic Magazine. Today we'll talk about the evolution of National Geographic Magazine and how we reach a new audience in new ways and deliver exciting experiences you can't find anyplace else.
Baruch here with genConnect.com, joined today by the Editor-in-Chief of National Geographic Magazine, Chris Johns. How are you, Chris?
I'm great, thank you.
Now, how do you hope National Geographic, as it continues to evolve, as its digital strategy continues to evolve, how do you hope that it will really engage the next generation?
I think by the nature of the things that we stand for and the things that we cover, we're really well positioned to engage the next generation. And of course, that's one of my great passions as editors. I have 3 children, 2 of them in college and one of them 15 years old. And I'm, of course, incredibly concerned, yet by the same token, incredibly excited about their future and the kind of world they'll inherit from my generation. Now, having said that, what we see is a high degree of concern about the environment, about wild places, about endangered cultures, vanishing languages, a lot of the things that we've covered for decades, well, actually 124 years. So I think that another point of convergence for us that really positions us very well to reach a younger audience, yet still keep that older audience that's been so loyal to us for so many decades, is through social media. And that, again, is a very natural thing for us because, believe it or not, National Geographic, when it first came out in October of 1888, was a really boring magazine. It was, pathetically boring. And this went on for decades. The 2 things that turned it around to become one of the most successful magazines in the world that's now read by 45 million people a month at least in 37 different languages is the fact that we became a very visual magazine. And of course, like any time you make a change, there was great controversy in the early 1900s that we started to run photographs. And of course, we're known for our photographs now, as we should be. I mean, people were threatening to resign from the board and trying to fire the editor because he put some pictures from Tibet in the magazine. And the readers themselves loved it, and that started to grow. But about that, we really started to grow in circulation and relevance. But the other thing that happened about that time, or slightly before, was we became a membership organization. We became a community-based organization. And the beauty now of it is that we can have people in the field, like Nick Nichols, who will spend a total of maybe 9 months in the field with lions. And as he's photographing and making pictures that have never been made before in the Serengeti of lions or anywhere in the world of lions, he can have a social component of sharing that with people and people sharing their experiences with him as well, which takes the whole membership concept that started with us more than 100 years ago and amps it up because of the ability now to have a really strong social engagement. So, what I love about it is the way our content and our point of view and our voice is so well received by younger people.
Now, you mentioned the challenge around the environment that this next generation really faces. Mm-hmm. What are some tips for the next generation to deal with this environmental situation?
Well, my generation grew up with a bumper sticker that said, "Think globally, act locally." And I think, again, this is where it's so exciting. And you can literally see it with the people who work at National Geographic Magazine, because especially with our National Geographic Magazine app, which is one of the most successful magazine subscription apps in the world, most of the staff working on that app is in their 20s or their early 30s. So what you have is a groundswell of ideas and ways that you can make that app come to life. And then, in turn, their values are reflected, I think, in the magazine and in the magazine app and all the things we do. So then you take it another step and you say, well, for those who come to work at National Geographic, if you ride your bike to work, we will make that very easy for you. We will bring in local farmers, and you can come to the Geographic out in our courtyard and buy local food. If you have a commute, which is fine, you will get a discount in parking if you drive a Prius, if you drive a hybrid. A whole series of things that I think are part of our corporate responsibility. Then I think, what you do is be aware of the world, but don't be overwhelmed with the problems. And the problems, I have to be honest, can be overwhelming. They're really, really significant. And at the Aspen Environment Forum, we address those. And it's really important you address those head on. For example, today, approximately 100 elephants will be killed. If we don't change our ways, in the next few years, forest elephants in Africa will have disappeared. That'll be a cover story in the October issue of the magazine. Well, what can you do about that? The key there is the youth of China. That ivory is no longer fashionable. In fact, it's about as fashionable as a young person driving a huge gas hog battering ram SUV. That these things are not, it's cooler and it's better in every regard when you can to ride your bike. You don't need a lot of the material things that we've maybe bought into. And I think we've got a generation now, including my generation, who's rethinking all of that. And you see that reflected in many ways. So it's, I'm going to do what I can worldwide. And, that's something we take great pride in at Geographic with our reaches. We're going to try to enlighten the world, and we're going to try to inspire them to do good things and do the right thing and make the world a better place. And then, by the same token, what can I do today? What's the worst additive to food? Mileage. Local food, energy consumption. Maybe you don't need a 4,000 square foot house. Maybe you'll be fine or happier at a 1,500 square foot house. Just a lot of the choices you make every day cumulatively can make a huge difference.
Chris Johns, thank you. And for more with Chris and National Geographic, be sure to check out genConnect.com.